I want to bring up Imam Saffet Catovic, who is a longtime U.S. Muslim community activist and organizer and environmental leader. He's the Muslim chaplain at Drew University over in New Jersey and the director of UN Operations Justice for All. Imam, please come up.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, greetings of peace, shalom alaikum. We're in the final minutes of this, our first Friday, our first Jummah of the month of Ramadan. And we have something in our religious tradition with regard to waking up before dawn and having a light morning breakfast. It's called suhoor. And in the evening time at Maghrib, at the time of sunset, to have what's known as an iftar, breaking of the fast. And people come together and we break the fast and we remember God's blessings upon us. Our sisters and brothers in Gaza are fasting this Ramadan without the benefit of suhoor, the morning breakfast, or the ability to break their fast in the evening because they don't have food. Starvation and food have become tools of war in the Zionist Israeli occupation and genocide against the people of Gaza and in general against the people of Palestine. In our religious tradition, the scholars ask, what is that which allows us to break our fast? And it's written into our books of Islamic jurisprudence. And it says you can share, anything that you can share is of benefit. And if you have no food, and I never knew that this would become actualized, you can share a piece of splintered wood, like a toothpick. You can bite a toothpick, and that will serve to break your fast. That is what our sisters and brothers are breaking their fast in tonight. There is no peace, there is no security for neither Israelis nor Palestinians in the Holy Land. And there is no justice for the Palestinians for over 75 years living under occupation. And it has to end. It has to end. Two-state solution was the call, but two-state solution cannot be implemented when you have hundreds of illegal settlements spotted throughout the West Bank, and now they're being set up in Gaza. Can't exist. Cannot exist. What can exist is, unless those settlements are removed, is the idea, the possibility that, as was the case in the past, Christians, Jews, Muslims, and other peoples who live in the Holy Land, including the Baha'i, will be able to live together, but only as equal citizens in freedom with justice. In our religious tradition, we have our version or our understanding of reciting the prayer upon those who we know have died in standing for justice, and we believe that those who stand for justice and committed their lives and made the ultimate sacrifice in standing for justice are those who have died in the way of God. Our sister earlier today recited the Kaddish. In our religious tradition, we don't have such a long recitation, but we have a reminder. And this verse in particular is recited by those who have seen their family members killed. And it's not a long verse, I'll share it with you, to remind them about the status of those who have died as martyrs in the cause for justice and in God's name. And I'll recite it, and then we're going to have, I think, the call for the evening prayer. ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون. Chapter 2, the chapter known as the chapter of the cow of the Holy Quran, verse 154. Never say, of those who were martyred, those who died in the cause of justice, in the cause of God, as being dead. They, in fact, are alive, but you do not perceive it. I was told by a friend of mine, a close friend of mine who I learned a lot about environmental justice from, the late Rabbi Larry Troster. If those of you involved in the Jewish environmental movement, you know his name. I studied under him for 18 months of blessed memory. And he shared with me a tradition from the Jewish faith in which he said, every time we remember the name of a person, they come to life again. Aaron is one such person. It's not accidentally that he has the name of Moses' brother. That those who led their people to liberation, he carries the name of one of the two partner brothers in that undertaking. And so we remind ourselves of all those who have been martyred in the cause of justice, in the cause of God, and never forget to remember their names. But the best remembrance is that which is done, which you all are doing, coming and speaking out against the evil, complicity in genocide, which our brother Aaron spoke about by giving his life and paying the ultimate sacrifice. We'll continue to do so. We'll continue to move onward and move forward. And in our religious tradition, once again, and I'll conclude here, we have a term that is used, and it is used often in Gaza these days. My daughter-in-law is Palestinian. She lost her aunt and 7 members of her family, and I shouldn't use the word lost. They're not lost. They're martyred. They're killed in Gaza. And the littlest child to the oldest person says these words that were used twice in our religious tradition. They're mentioned in the Holy Quran. Once, lest someone say this is a religious war. In our Holy Quran, it states that when the king of Iraq, Nimrud, sought to throw or to destroy the teachings of Abraham, and Abraham himself, by throwing him into a huge fire that he had made, as he was being catapulted through the air into that fire, the angel Gabriel was accompanying him. And Abraham said, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. God is sufficient for us, and he is our guardian protector. So when they said no aid, the Gazans said, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. God is sufficient for us, and he is our guardian protector. The second time this term was used in the Holy Quran, this phrase, was when the fledgling Muslim community in Medina was being attacked for wanting to be free, wanting self-determination, wanting to be able to live together as Muslims, as Christians, and as Jews in the city-state of Medina. And they were being pursued by those who sought to destroy them and annihilate them from the face of the earth. In that moment, when they were being told that they are pursuing you, and the people said, what will happen to us now? God revealed the same words to them through the Prophet Muhammad. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil, ni'mal mawla wa ni'mal nasir. God is sufficient for us as our protector and our guardian, and we trust in him. With those words, they were able to stand up, rise up, and move forth into the face of those who sought to destroy them. And God gave them victory. Today, there's over 2.2 billion Muslims in the world because of that. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil, ni'mal mawla wa ni'mal nasir. That's the power of the Gazans. Their belief that there is a greater power that is watching them, and their belief that people like us stand for justice, and for the justice that is due for all peoples in all parts of the world, are standing up for them. They say, thank you. We see you. We hear you. But we got to make sure that our politicians, our leaders that are here in other places, hear us They say, we hear you in Gaza. We have to tell them we are making sure that they hear us. And if they don't listen, we find a way to make them listen. We find a way to make them listen. And I know some of you have found interesting ways to make that happen. It is a long haul. We're in it together. Peoples of all faiths, peoples of all nationalities, peoples of all ethnic groups, to stand for justice. We walk shoulder to shoulder. We walk arm in arm. Look out. The people of Gaza have a voice in America, and we're going to make their sacrifices and the sacrifice of our brother Aaron be counted for and be recognized, and justice to be established with freedom, with the last words he said and the last words I say. Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Assalamu alaikum, peace.